Welcome to Inspiring People, the show about inspiring people, those who are inspired and those who inspire others. We all know them. They're good examples, they're supportive, they embrace life, they live inspiring lives in their day-to-day actions, and in turn, inspire others to do the same. Hi, welcome to Inspiring People. My name is Mary Otto. I'm the host of the show, and with me today is Brenda Houts. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I say welcome back to Brenda because Brenda has been sharing aspects of her life with us and why she is truly an inspiring people in part one. And so at the end of that interview, we were talking about Brenda's sons, and she was talking a little bit about their lives. And I believe we were talking about Caleb when
Yes.
we left off. So why don't you go ahead and continue talking about Caleb?
As we had talked about, Caleb had drowned. He
Yes.
was in the water and he was pulled out, and they started CPR. He was transferred to Detroit Lakes by ambulance, and then he was flown to St. Luke's, at that time, trauma center. When we got there, they right away talked about the quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctors knew, but there was no discussion about what this meant to us.
Mm-hmm.
All we knew as a family was that Caleb was alive, and that's what we wanted to know.
Mm-hmm.
After the 2 weeks, they put him into a drug-induced coma. When they brought Caleb out of that coma, the lack of oxygen had damaged his brain to the point where he pretty much just had brain stem activity, which means your organs will work, you sleep, but he could not eat, stand, talk,
Okay.
recognize anything. There was no reaction to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we removed the respirator at one point, and his body breathed on its own. After that, the decision, after about 6 weeks at St. Luke's, we moved from intensive care out into a room, but the decision was made that he would have to go to a nursing home. There, of course, I wanted to bring him home. As a mom,
Sure.
I just want him home. I'll do whatever I have to have him home. But Zach and I were told that no, this won't happen. You cannot physically and mentally and emotionally take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was moved to, we were at St. Mary's Hospital for a couple months, and then we moved to St. Mary's Nursing Center. And we spent the next 2 years there. And during that 2 years, he could get sick at any time. He could get pneumonia at any time. The circulation in his legs was a question and a concern. And he grew. It was just a few weeks before his 14th birthday, and all of a sudden he was becoming 16, and he was a 6 foot tall, mustache, beard, sideburns. He continued to grow as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere in there, with the concerns for the illnesses and the possibility of how his death would take place, we, as a family, sat down with our clergy and with the hospital and with everybody we knew who we wanted an opinion from, and made the decision to let Caleb's body go. We ran all the tests on his brain again. We ran everything we could think of, and we prayed dearly for what we should do. This is my decision. That was the decision we made. I don't know what people should do in that situation, but we let Caleb's body go.
Okay.
He really had died at the river. He was never, other than his body and his heart beating and his lungs working and his kidneys working, there was no Caleb there.
What I can't even imagine, Brenda, what that was like for you and your family, and then to lose as now a second son to this accident. So I imagine after that, then you had your son Zachary. So I'm sure that as time went on and you started to heal, and Zachary was your only son, and then unfortunately Zachary died also. So would you like to talk a little bit about Zach?
I think of Zach as one of the, a question if you had one for being a hero. Zach was my hero. At 6, he helped pick out a casket and bury his idol, his older brother. At 11, he was part of that decision making with Caleb. He understood that this was not a life. Mm-hmm. And he went for 2 years. He spent his time at the nursing home. He did wheelchair races. He helped with the elderly. He would always go get an ice cream cone for this little lady who called it snow. He had his friends who were in their 80s and 90s, and he spent a lot of time at the nursing home. And then Zachary turned into a teenager, and he started hitting the same age as his brothers. And it was a toss-up. You know, is something going to happen to me, or am I going to be okay? And and until Zach turned 17, I think he pushed the limits on many things because he didn't know. He's like, well, I got to try it.
Try it.
You know, if there was a hill to snowboard down, he'd be the first one down to find out if it was really something they should be doing. To push the speed, to push the limits of everything, and to live life. He really, truly, you know, did what he wanted to do in life as far as enjoying fishing or hunting. And then as a teenager, he also pushed some of the limits of things with parents. We don't want you to ever try because we know how hazardous they are. But he was in a car crash the night before prom. He picked up a couple friends. They had a curfew. They missed their curfew, but the mom wasn't worried because she thought, oh, they'll be here in a few minutes. And she went back to sleep. And they were driving too fast and missed a curve on Anchor Road and on County 25 and Anchor Road and hit the approach. And Zach and Matt were both killed in that car crash.
I remember too when that happened. Well, actually, I remember, you know, all of these times with your sons. So following that, Brenda, can you articulate, can you put into words what it was like to lose that third son, and then collectively what you had to say about where your life was going to go or how you were going to carry on after such tragedies?
When Javis died, there was still Caleb and Zach to take care of, and that's what you did. I mean, for people think grief is like a 3 month, or at 6 months you'll be at this level. At a year you'll be pretty much over it, and that is not how it happens at all. Grief becomes part of you forever. And Zach and Caleb and I, after Javis died, we healed, but it takes time, and you never forget or get over it, but you come back to some type of normal. It's not the normal you had before, but a new normal. And then when Caleb had his accident, all of a sudden it was Zach. I mean, Zach went from the baby of the family to one of two, to the caretaker of his older brother, and then to being an only child. And then when I brought the bonus children home, Zach had a whole new family. And for us, it was very interesting. My husband travels, so we would have a large family every 2 weeks. We would have this bonus children and my husband home, and then they would leave, and it would be Zach and I, and we would go back to our grieving, because that still was happening, and we'd be mother, son, doing the things we did. I mean, I doted on Zach. After Zach's death, with the bonus children, and I really say that as bonus children because they've helped fill the void that I would have. Because when my third child died, I didn't know what I was supposed to do with the rest of my life. You know, my plan was I was always Zach's mother. It was Zach's house. His friends came to Zach's house. Now it's to Brenda's house. And I knew I was going to Zach was going to get married. He had a wonderful girlfriend at the time. I'm going to have grandchildren, or at least I could dream. As long as he was alive, I could dream I would have grandchildren. That's what I was going to do. That was my future. My retirement was going to be with my grandchildren, with my son and his wife, and just everything I would ever given 3 children, I was going to give to Zach.
Well, Brenda, I really believe that one of the reasons that people find you so inspiring is not the fact that you have been through these situations, and not only the fact that you have had to deal with these 3 situations, these 3 deaths of your children, but also the fact that you are inspiring because of what you've done now since then, and how you have managed to carry your message and help other people. So in the part 3 of this series, we'll talk to Brenda about that. Thank you, Brenda.